our featured prelim. Honestly, a little bit of a sad one, if I'm going to be honest with myself. We've got the 36-year-old Carlos Condit, 30-13, versus the 19-9, 35-year-old Court McGee. I brought on someone whose MMA content I love to cover these with me. It's a OG fight. Robbie Fox from Barstool. Thanks for joining, Robbie.
Of course, man. I appreciate the introduction.
Hell yeah. What made you want to pick this fight?
I mean, it's Carlos Condit. Like, of
Mhm.
course, I'm like kind of the not an old school MMA fan, but I'm a fan of old school MMA. And if you're not riding with Carlos Condit in this fight, listen, I know you said it's a bit of a sad fight. You just got to root for this guy. He's over on Fight Island. If anyone's built for Fight Island, for this environment, this atmosphere, this Mortal Kombat-esque, promotion that we're putting on, it's Carlos Condit. Come on.
You're right. Honestly, just talking about like that probably fires him up. Like that's probably how he's viewing it. It
Fires me
seems
up thinking
it,
about it.
it seems very comic book movie type situation for him, and he is a ninja that likes that. I have, and of course you know this, but the reason I say it's sad, we've got Carlos Condit lost 8 out of his last 10, McGee 8 out of his last 13. Straight up, the odds are it's nearly a even money fight. Court McGee's a slight favorite, minus 135. This is one of those like how could with their recent pass, I don't know how you could lean each way. So the plus money just kind of seems like the smart way to go. I like your idea that Carlos is going to be fired up. You say you're not necessarily old school MMA fan, but you're a fan of old school MMA. So when did you dive into the sport?
My introduction completely to UFC was, excuse me, when Brock Lesnar made his debut. So I'm a diehard professional wrestling fan, and
Mm,
when I heard Brock was gonna really fight, he was gonna do this for real. We did a party at my older brother's, invited all his friends over, and then when you see Frank Mir pretty much get pummeled for the beginning moments of that fight, and then he hooks him and makes Brock tap, it was like mind blowing to me. It was, how did he just win that fight? How did he come back from that? So ever since then, I've pretty much fallen in and out. I would say since I was in high school, which I went into high school, I graduated 2016. Since I started high school, I've been pretty much diehard since then.
uh, that's dope. And yeah, you got to check out some of Robbie's content. I honestly, I am now, and I will say I wasn't always. I'm like a full-fledged stoolie now. I consume so much Barstool content, and I would say your Connor stuff is kind of what like led me into it, and I started following you, and then you see who you're interacting with. Some of Caleb's stuff too I saw really early on, and
Yeah,
he came on the Adam Carolla show when I worked there, and I watched his Terrell Owens like Butterfinger interview, just some
classic.
epic shit. I just want to thank you for that. But yeah,
Yeah,
so
thank
like,
you. That's cool for me to hear.
yeah, for sure. The you came in the sport a little earlier than me. I also have a special place in my heart for Carlos Condit because like I had seen like pay-per-views when I'm 32, so when I was in high school, like the Chuck Liddell fighting, Rampage,
Oh
some
yeah,
of those fights, and I would try to see them, but like it was a lot tougher without the how ubiquitous MMA is on the internet now. Like to figure out when stuff was playing, I wasn't in a household that was going to be paying money for pay-per-views and stuff, so it was hard to keep up with. Then finally, I eventually got a job at like a mixed martial arts equipment company, and just kind of dove into the sport just to like know what I was like, because I would sell to gyms and stuff.
yeah.
And this was like 2011, and 2012 was like the first, like when I started watching every card, and it was Carlos Condit GSP. Uh, amazing 5-round war. One of those that'll definitely get you hooked.
Awesome fight. And I always think back to the Robbie Lawler Carlos Condit fight. I think it was UFC 195, I want to say. And another one where it was just a war. Like it was right after Robbie Lawler had his fight with Rory McDonald, which is my favorite fight ever, the rematch at
Same.
189. Just like that stare down at the end of the fourth round. Oh, the greatest thing in MMA. The most
That
badass shot, the most badass visual, him spraying blood out of his face. Like I think about that, and like even thinking about the Carlos Condit versus Robbie Lawler fight makes me nostalgic for like that time.
Oh man, you're honestly giving me chills. Both those fights because I don't know. Like it was a crazy journey for me to get in this podcast production. I actually, some people have heard this, I've said it, but whatever. The listenership's always growing. It's new to somebody. I just kind of quit that MMA job and drove out here, lived in my car for a couple months, and then got an internship with the Adam Carolla show. And the first week that I was at that internship, Adam had shows in Vegas, so we rode out there to stay, and it was the weekend of UFC 194.
Wow, Conor and Aldo.
Or no, I'm sorry. With Robbie, Rory, and Conor Chad.
189.
89. Excuse me. So it was that weekend. So it was on Saturday night. So I didn't get to go watch the fight, but I had a merch booth out in front of his show, and I can't remember which. I think it may have been in Treasure Island, and I had a merch booth, and I'm illegally streaming it because you can't get it inside the hotel where you're at, and I'm watching that fight, like it's going in and out, but the whole fifth round, like serendipitously, the stream stayed perfect, and I got to see that massive fifth round, and then I fell in love with Robbie Lawler, and I like in that Condit fight, he was down, and I was like, Terminator Robbie's just going to turn it on, and he did, and it was another epic fight.
Yeah.
I actually thought he lost 3-2, if I'm going to be completely honest.
I don't even remember what I think, to be honest with you.
Yeah. But
I have no idea. My memory's horrible with stuff like that.
Yeah, but yeah, it's those epic fights that'll just like lock you in. Especially you were probably like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but were you really rooting for Brock to like, so the wrestling world would kind of get that respect? That whole type thing.
Even just like it was not even the respect thing. I just thought it was cool. Like one of our guys was going into MMA, and it was just like cool for me. I remember when he had the confrontation with the Undertaker during that Ariel Helwani interview with the Undertaker, thinking that was the coolest thing. Are they setting up a match at WrestleMania? Because he kind of hopped back and forth for a little bit. So it wasn't even as much like the respect thing as it was. I was just like, this is awesome.
I think that's actually Ariel Helwani's favorite clip he's ever gotten. He loves that Undertaker.
That's
clip.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually was like a professional wrestling fan first when I was a lot younger. So, and then like Ken Shamrock, I remember, he did both. And he did the ankle lock and stuff.
I got to interview him last year, and he was like one of the cooler interviews because he's one of the few people that understands both worlds, respects both worlds. Like he's from the MMA side, you get the, that's fake, or the, how can you watch that all the time? Which is like the cliche. It's, oh my God, I've heard it a million times. Ken Shamrock is like, listen, I'll tell MMA fighters about the beauty and art of what we're trying to build in a story in pro wrestling. Hearing him talk about it was like, all right, this is a guy that was competing in the first few Ultimate Fighters against Hoist Gracie, and here he is showing more respect to wrestling than anyone.
And I think that's always the right way to look at it. I feel like the guys who have made the most money in the sport have taken the theatrics of professional wrestling and employed it to a real competition, and that's what's getting them paid. Conor, Colby, Chael.
Absolutely. Go all the way back to Muhammad Ali, quoting Classy Freddie Blassie. You know what I mean? He's on record saying, like, I take a lot of my stuff from professional wrestling. And Conor takes a lot of his stuff from Muhammad Ali. So it all traces back.
Yeah, and we all know Colby's a big fan.
Yep.
I still sometimes in the back of my mind is this thing between him and Jorge work. Like it seems too real. They get pretty personal, but
but when you see them at like the same rallies together, you're like,
exactly. How do they not at least squash it and do some NWO type reunion? But yeah, what I brought you on to talk about so. I guess we did cover quite a bit of it. It's nostalgic. It's kind of hard to say what's going to happen, just because this is somewhat what I try to talk about. I'm not going to pick the fight straight up. I'd be guessing, and I've seen Court McGee's gas tank be really, really good. I like the Alex Garcia fight. For both these guys, you have to go back a little bit to like pick a positive, but
yeah.
But Alex Garcia definitely like beat him in the first round, but gassed, and Court McGee showed that he still has that, and he trains at Elevation in Utah. I still don't want to bet him at just plus 135. But what I did see, even though he hasn't had a submission since 2010, by submission moved from plus 600 to plus 1,000. And we've seen Carlos, Michael Chiesa, Alex Oliveira, Damian Maia, 3 out of his last 4 he's been submitted. So,
wow, look at that. And even like, it's just such a shit show in terms of the matchup. Like you said, I'm not going to be able to offer any analytics here. I've never claimed to be an expert in that realm. I'm more of just a fan. But like looking at it like that, I could see Condit even getting dropped by a shot because I don't know how his chin is, and then just getting a rear naked choke hopped on. So like at plus 1,000, yeah, sprinkle some shit on that. Barstool Sportsbook if you're in PA.
yeah, hell yeah. If they're looking to sponsor other gambling content, it's all degenerates that watch this show. So,
oh yeah,
that would be the one I pick. And as I always say, you gotta find doing what I'm trying to do. I don't even sell my picks. I don't pretend to be an expert gambler. I'm a degenerate who watches all the fights. That's my elevator pitch.
But you know what? You just like basically sold me on the opposite pick of my fight based on your little talk there. So you're doing well with it.
And in a vacuum, I think maybe it is Carlos Condit straight up. But yeah, like everybody wants the shiny win a lot of money at a time, and it really doesn't look bad on me. No one remembers if I get it wrong, but if I hit it,
it's a specific, plus 1,000. Yeah, this fight is kind of like we heard Mike Tyson talking about it, kind of with the Roy Jones Jr. thing. It's like the Legends League. It's the main event of the prelims. It's like, all right, turn the lights off, turn them back on. We're doing the veterans. Here we go.
I love it. It's going to be nostalgic for a lot of people. It'll definitely be a good one. Like, these guys are going to put on a show. That's one thing neither of them have done, despite their recent records. Well, thanks, Robbie, for joining. I'm going to let you go for now, but we'll bring you back for the main card to talk our co-main event, Yorgan De Castro versus Carlos Felipe. Thanks for coming on.
Yep, talk to you soon.
See ya.